Hi everyone, welcome to this episode on time-lapse photography. I'm Naveen and I have my colleague Rohit with me from the Nikon India technical team.
Hi Naveen.
Hi.
Talking about time-lapse photography is always interesting. It's quite an excitement that we get. Time-lapse photography is the process of making itself is so interesting.
Yeah.
And the end result that you get is quite exciting.
In fact, it has been a craze of late. Now, almost, in almost every video today, there's bits of time-lapse, I can say.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Naveen, could you tell our viewers what is time-lapse photography all about?
Definitely. Okay, if you look at it this way, Rohit, haven't you seen those videos where clouds move very fast, or you can see day turning into night over a couple of minutes, or even stars fanning across night sky? So these are time lapse. So basically anything that is captured that happens over a longer duration and it's compressed into a shorter duration. That is the simplest way to put it. But why don't you explain to our viewers a little bit more elaborate? Let's go a little technical.
See, time-lapse photography is a process where your camera captures multiple images at a certain interval. Right. And then the camera's inbuilt capability combines all those images to produce some stunning videos.
And it's a full HD video.
It's a full HD video.
Absolutely. Unlike in time-lapse photography, interval timer basically gives you individual pictures. Absolutely. So that way you have much better control over every single frame that you will be ultimately making into a time-lapse video. Now, in order to make a video out of individual images, all you need to do is download your images to any video editing software and render it according to your requirement.
I think we need to go to a place which has all the elements for time-lapse. So where do you think we should be heading, Naveen?
You know what, Rohit? Again, Kerala is one place where nature unfolds itself in front of you. You have all the key elements of nature in one frame. So I can't think of a better place to shoot a good time-lapse right now.
Oh, that sounds like a plan.
Let's head to Kerala then. Yeah. Let's do that. Okay, Rohit, so here we are back again in Kerala this time. Yeah. Here we are shooting some time-lapse videos. So, but before we start shooting, how do you feel about the view? I mean, look at that.
Naveen, I can't complain. This is one of the most amazing views.
Exactly.
And it has all the recipe that you need for the time-lapse videos.
Absolutely.
We have the mist and the fog going across the frame.
Yeah.
So, which is going to be very dynamic.
Right.
And with the right settings, we will have a very good time lapse.
Right. Now about settings again, which is a very crucial factor, I should say.
Absolutely.
Especially when it comes to time-lapse photography. Like earlier we mentioned, this is a process where the camera keeps on taking images.
Yeah.
So there has to be absolute uniformity between each image. If there's even the slightest variation, your time-lapse photography goes for a toss. Okay?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Now, if you're thinking about the feature, even if you don't have a built-in time-lapse feature, which is right now there on almost all the models for our FX range, the full frame range. Yeah. However, on the DX cameras, most of them have the interval timer, which does almost the same thing like a built-in time-lapse, but it gives us still images.
Yeah, it's not, the time-lapse is an automated process where it makes a movie for you, whereas with the interval, you got to do it yourself.
Exactly.
In a time-lapse video, the settings are the most key.
Yeah,
you choose your location with the right settings, depending on how the movement is happening, you choose your interval, which is going to decide how your video is going to be.
Yeah, so let's see what settings we can use. Now, this comes really handy, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
That's the D750 that we are using here with a 20mm, the latest 20mm 1.8 lens. The best part I love about this is the vary angle.
Oh, that comes in handy because in this situation, you want to look up what you're framing, so that comes in really very handy.
No, I don't have to bend down every time, so that comes really handy. About the settings, first lesson or first tip, shoot manual. Because everything has to be under your control.
Absolutely.
There's no chance for making errors in manual mode.
Very
Plus,
true.
Your settings will be consistent. It doesn't keep variating even if the light changes. So, first, like I said, manual mode. Second being our quality. So I guess let's go for cloudy white balance.
Cloudy is good enough, yeah.
Absolutely. Picture control, like the newest of our DSLRs have the flat feature. So since we are making a video, let's put it on flat.
Flat would be good.
Absolutely. Now, what we need to concentrate a lot more is on the time-lapse menu that we have on our cameras.
You set the interval based on how the scene is dynamic.
Exactly.
In case you have a fast-moving cloud, you choose basically a smaller interval.
Right.
But if you have a slower-moving subject or the clouds,
absolutely,
you would choose a larger interval.
So as you can see here, right now, if you consistently look at the clouds, it's not very fast-moving.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think in this situation, we're going to choose something longer.
Yeah. By longer, we mean the interval duration. So here, let's say if I'm setting 4 seconds, what that means is in every 4 seconds, the camera is shooting an image.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So for this, I'll prefer to go with a 4 second interval.
Yeah, that'll be great. Yeah.
Shooting time is basically for how long do you want your camera to do this job, to keep shooting images. Because let's say if this cloud from the left to the right, that's what we intend to capture, the movement. Yeah. We have a fair idea. Now, I'm making this wild guess that it might happen within, say, 30 minutes, since the movement is slow. What do you feel?
I think that's absolutely right. And the other way to look at it is, once you choose your interval or the shooting time, what you could see is it generally calculates for you what is the duration of the video.
It will even show you the output duration of your video. Say, it'll tell you, are you going to get a 10-second long video or are you getting a 12-second? Right now it says 12.
12. Yeah. Generally, a thumb rule is like we generally try to do minimum of 10 seconds video.
Right.
That gives you a very good perspective of the entire vista.
Exactly. Yeah. Shooting time right now, I'll be going for, say, 50 minutes.
50 minutes is ideal.
Yeah. So I hope we are making this very clear. The shooting time is 50 minutes. So in 50 minutes, during every 4 seconds, the camera is shooting an image.
Absolutely.
So right now I'll switch this off. And one very important tip, you autofocus your camera first, you lock your focus and switch your lens to M mode. Reason being, on autofocus mode, for every single shot, the camera autofocuses. So ideally, let's lock focus.
Yeah.
Right now, my focus is locked on the road that you can see because that sort of is conveying the mid-ground.
Yeah.
My settings are f10. In fact, I'll get it to f11. That gets me a good depth of field.
Yeah, as you must have seen from our landscape episodes, the f11 would be ideal because we want almost everything in focus.
Exactly. Let's first try shooting a still image just to see how the exposure works out.
It's a very good idea to check the exposure before you start.
Exactly. I think this works fairly good. Yeah. So once you lock your still image, if you feel exposure is fine, you have locked the focus. Now we go to the same menu, time-lapse photography. And now that it's set, let's press on the start button. Listen closely. And let's just listen to the music of the camera for some seconds.
There you go.
Yeah.
You're hearing the click. So it's basically taking pictures at our set interval.
Yeah.
In this case, we have chosen
4 seconds.
4 seconds.
Yeah. So in every 4 seconds, this guy will keep doing its job. Okay, Rohit. So let the camera do its job before our legs go to sleep. Let's just stand up.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think there's a lot to shoot for interval timer here. In order to explain this a lot more better, Rohit, let's head to a different location.
I think that'll be great. For interval timer, we'll go to a new location.
Let's do that. Alright guys, so as you have already seen, we have managed to grab a pretty nice time-lapse video using the inbuilt time-lapse feature on our DSLRs. Now let's move on to the interval timer. Now, when we talk about interval timer, this is specifically for all you guys who don't have the built-in time-lapse feature. Having said that, there are certain advantages that you particularly get by using the interval timer mode. This is a process where the camera does not compile your still images into a video like what time-lapse used to do for you. You actually get, sort of still images. You get still images for your interval timer. But before we get into the shooting bit of it, Rohit, why don't you tell us about the manual settings that can be used on the
absolutely.
camera? Which is, I guess, a very key factor.
Very key factor. First and foremost, it's very important for you to make sure that you lock your exposure. So whatever you're trying to shoot, it's essential that you lock your exposure and make sure none of the features like white balance and other aspects are turned auto. Make sure they're all turned off and they're not in the auto mode. And then once you've got your exposure, it is very essential to switch the lens from an autofocus to a manual mode.
Another major difference when you set for built-in time lapse and interval timer is there's a little bit more of mathematics included when it's about interval timer. Because you have to have a rough calculation of how long do you want the video, how many pictures do you want the camera to shoot. So there are certain parameters which will be here on the camera. Alright, so how do you do this calculation? Remember that the videos that you usually see on your television screen is played back at 24 FPS, which means in a second the television screen is playing 24 images. Now consider that you need a interval timer video of say which lasts for 2 seconds, which means in a second it's playing 24 images, 2 seconds makes that 48 images. So you need your camera to come up with at least 48 images to make a 2-second long video. That's based on the calculation that we do. But our suggestion is shoot a little bit extra number of frames because you never know what kind of effect you want in your output video. So shoot a little bit of extra number of images. If it's 48 images, I would suggest shoot at least 64 or even 80 would be fair enough to do that. Because once you set it on your camera does the rest of the job for you.
Absolutely. It's always wise to shoot more.
Absolutely. Exactly. So let the camera do the job while it shoots. We'll also show you a couple of interval timer videos that we have managed to collate. So let's head back to the studio, Rohit.
I think that's a good idea.
Let's do that. Rohit, just like I told you, so we'll just show you the video, the time-lapse video, but literally nature was actually unfolding itself. Just have a look at it. This is a night sky. Before we leave, let us show you a couple of time-lapse videos more that we have shot during various outdoor workshops conducted at Nikon school. Till next time, I'm Naveen and Rohit, your Nikon buddies, signing off.